on the point of talking to Deb,
Yep.
whenever I listen to podcasts or like the stuff that I'm really interested in, there's always a perspective, right? The topics might be universal, like our podcast, but it's coming from a perspective of two dads. And that's all it is. The topics are still like productivity. Everyone can listen to productivity. Raising kids, every parent can listen to about raising kids. But what they're getting on top of that, I guess like the secret sauce is perspective of two dads, right? Like versus perspective of mom or grandparents or caretaker. And so, yes, can moms listen to the podcast? 100%. My kids can even listen to this podcast because probably they'll figure out what dad's thinking most of the time by listening to this. And I would actually suggest spouses listening to this because I know early on in my relationship, there's like things untold, right? Like the same cyclical kind of arguments or discussions that we would have every month or quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, I think I know you the air quotes. If you're listening, I just
Yes.
did air quotes. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is learned through experience, right? The fact that I've been with my spouse for 25 plus years means we have a lot of growing experience together. And so the perspective that I'm giving, maybe for a spouse out there, will give them some insight potentially to the thought process or the come from their husband, right? Not that all the husbands are identical, but at least kind of like how the gears work, so to speak. And so that's what I'm hoping with this podcast is not only do we help dads in our season, preseason, postseason of being a parent, with some topics or some frameworks or just stuff top of mind that we're dealing with our families, and then also for the partners to realize like, hey, you know, they were talking about XYZ last podcast, and that's a discussion I've had over the last month, but we've been both like knocking heads so much. Maybe now they can be like, hey, let's talk about it again, but let's use the framework or like the perspective that Travis and Rob talked about. So that's what
Mm,
I'm hoping.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so, yeah, this is a family friendly podcast as well. If people didn't know,
Oh yeah.
we're not going to be, talking about anything that's, well, I guess we'll let you know if it seems like it's not kid friendly, but
No,
I'm
if it
pretty sure
wasn't
it's
if
pretty
it
good.
wasn't kid friendly, I'd probably edit it out and like,
Yeah.
oh, that's just
Yeah.
how it is. Just how I was raised, and I think the
Yeah.
information is pertinent to everybody, so I'm not gonna, rock the boat like that. But
Yeah. No way, Jose.
so on the topic of spouses, like, and we talked about this before. I think a lot of who I am, I'm not going to talk for you, but from knowing you, a lot of who I am is because of my spouse, because I grew up with my spouse. And the stories that I always share, it's like, it's still one of those silly things to think about. Like, my kids still reference us as like, oh, it's the fairy tale couple. Like, you met at a young age.
Ah,
You know what I mean? Like, oh,
yeah.
you met in high school. All the sappy, like, romances that they're watching on Netflix now. It's like, oh, mom and dad met in high school, like that kind of storyline. But
Mm-hmm.
and it's rare nowadays. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of gems that can kind of be digged out. And one of the biggest ones that I always tell people, like 99% of my success is the fact that I had a partner growing up that I could bounce stuff off of without fear of like judgment or ridicule or being like, oh no, that'll never work. So the fact that I had that, and secondly, like we literally grew up together, like from 17 till adulthood, like being able to go through all those highs and lows with one person, right? And they're going through the highs and lows too, means we just grow stronger together so that now the obstacles in parenting, at least we're on the same united front with it, right? I don't need to figure out what she's thinking because we had so many years prior to kids that I know what she's thinking. So yes, I think what's the saying? With every strong man, there's a strong woman standing behind them, or something like that. I think that quote,
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
think that quote works both ways, but
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's what
you
I
know
was
what
going
I
to
mean.
say.
But
Mm-hmm.
I do say that nothing would be as efficient, nothing would be um, as amazing as it is without the spouse being all in, right? Like I wouldn't be able to go on my
Yeah.
entrepreneurial journey or even being a dad if we didn't decide like, hey, we're going to start a family. So I think there's
Oh, yeah.
something to say about having like the ultimate teammate, right? It's like the person who's always going to vote like yes for your crazy ideas.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And there's a lot that goes into that relationship,
Mhm.
to make it what it is. And I mean, well, and you did it together, like you said, but that doesn't just happen by passively eating popcorn and watching Netflix every night either.
No, no,
You
no.
gotta put in the work.
You got to put in the work. But it's one of those things where it's like, and we've talked about in the previous podcast, and if not, we'll talk about the future podcast about like just work in general. How if you really stand back and look at whatever you're doing, job, career, passion, project wise, it's going to be hard, right? Nothing's ever like served on a silver platter, so to speak. But if it's going to be hard, and you get to choose who to do the hard with or what the hard is. So, for instance, building someone else's passion project or building your passion project, there's going to be tough times in both. There's going to be all nighters in both, right? If I'm going to grow as an individual, right, self exploration or personal development, like I can choose someone to do that with. And the fact that it can be your spouse is an amazing thing. And the fact that we grew up together, yeah, like I said, if everything could be fixed by Netflix and popcorn, then everyone wouldn't be listening to podcasts, right? I'd be just doing Netflix.
Yes, yes. And we always joke, behind the scenes here,
Mhm.
about how we're cut from the same cloth. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty much usually you say something and I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just a few years behind you, but it's right now, I mean, most things, it's kind of like looking into a future mirror almost,
Hmm.
the number of kids, the spouse interactions, the way we process stress and the way all those things. But I
Absolutely.
digress because we're talking about our wives right now. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, I would agree 100%. Um, uh, uh, my wife is the organized one, is the like, you where do I want to take this right now? Because I can see like 10 different directions this could go.
Hmm.
But basically, um, I wouldn't be anywhere the person that I am today without her.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's all good stuff. Um, she would I'm actually really curious. This is what I'm sitting here thinking is, man, what kind of person would I be without Deb? Because I really don't want to know. I don't want to know because I'm really happy with where I'm at now because of her. So I'm the pie in the sky, like, ooh, good idea. Ooh, I start all sorts of things
Hmm.
and I don't finish anything. And she's the one that's like,
Hey,
finish
let's
it.
reel you
Let's
in
plan
here,
this
buddy.
out. Let's have a
Let's
conversation.
let's talk about
Let's
this.
talk about reality
Yeah.
in a
So
good
here's
way.
so here's a question for you.
Yeah, yeah,
And like I said, this is specifically around spouses, but this could be, and I always look for tangents, right? So this could be just working with other individuals, like working within a company or your company or partnership, stuff like that. Is are you t- is your personalities similar, or would you say they're more opposite? And I kind of have a feeling of what you're saying right now is like you're the, pie in the sky. She's, flat foot earth. Hey, let's pull you back down. But is there anywhere where you guys overlap? Like, wow, we figured out early on that we both love Creed, right? Or is a majority of it like we're opposites, and that's actually what makes the machine that's actually what makes the machine go, is that we have different cogs, we have different responsibilities, and we learned through time that, hey, you're doing that task or responsibility, I do this task responsibility, because not only is it a strength of ours and it's a weakness of mine, right, vice versa, but it's something that you actually like doing. Does that kind of make sense? So it's not
oh
like,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I like cleaning the garage. It's something that actually calms me down. I don't see it as like, oh, I have to do that, because that would be me doing something that I don't enjoy, right? So
Yeah.
where in you and Deb is there overlap, and where is it no, opposites does attract?
Yeah, I gotta say, opposites definitely do attract. The I just have to know. I'm so distracted right now because I want to know if our Instagram algorithms are the same. And you saw a reel about
No,
there was
no
a
comment.
one about somebody listening to Creed.
No comment.
Oh man, yeah. So I would say, yeah, we're gonna have to bring them on to have them do a fact check episode later on this.
With arms wide open. Yes.
It's too good. You're on fire today, and I
Hey,
got nothing.
I had a good
Oh
morning, man. I had a
boy.
good morning. That was good. And yes, the algorithm is working both of us. Yeah.
Oh man. Uh okay. So yes. And in regards to Instagram, there's another video out there where there's like a comedian that was saying something like, everybody in every relationship, there needs to be the one that like, buys the stuff and the one who says no or whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm horrible at paraphrasing, but basically I think we're very much like that. But as we talked about in previous episodes, or maybe you know what? No, this was off camera. This was off
Ooh,
recording. But
okay.
basically, we talk about wanting to be iterators.
Yes.
Essentially,
Yeah.
you use that term.
Mhm.
And so, through many iterations,
Mhm.
we have come to have similarities, I would say, compared to the way we started out.
Mhm.
We were, interestingly enough, very good friends first for quite some time. I was dating someone else before, or like when we met. And
Mhm.
so, um, the the similarities we had were basically just enjoying like each other's conversations and company and things like that.
Mhm.
Like as I um just became better and better friends with her, um wasn't dating for some time, and we were just hanging out. She was actually my go-to person. I was like, hey, this, welcome to the story of my dating life that I share with everybody. But basically, I was like, hey, this, I got this person, I got this person, I got this person, like option A, B, C. What should I do? Where should I take her? What, she was the one I went to for all of the
She,
female
she
advice.
she was the girlfriend you went to for the girlfriend advice.
Yeah, exactly. And then soon enough, the scales fell off my eyes. The light appeared in the
There you
sky,
go.
and boom, it was ordained. God was like, "What about her?"
What about this?
I was like,
Right?
"What was
Oh,
I thinking the whole time?" But anyways, we were just good friends, and then from that point forward, um, yeah, we figured out that we have our own sets of strengths that we bring to the relationship, of course,
mhm,
right? So I'm very extroverted. She's more introverted.
mhm.
I'm more. Um, what was I thinking about when you asked me that question? Um, you can edit out all of the space in between my brain cells here because it's spaced out. I'm not on fire like you are.
No, you got
Um,
this. It's like for us, like Mo's more art, I'm more science when it comes to a lot of things as far as weighing and measuring and stuff like that. I don't know if I think it's partially my design background, but even as a kid, I was like weigh and measured, right? Like I want this to be successful. And people have walked before me and told me, you know, two reds and a blue make this.
uh-huh.
Whereas she's amazing at being like, hey, okay, that's the end result. I can do a little of this, little of that, and I'm always afraid to do that, right? Like I'm like, I know everyone can have a little bit of creative license, but within parameters for me. So it's just interesting for you and Deb how you're the artist and she's the like, no, we're gonna dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yes. She's the one that does the budget, pays the bills, like
Mhm.
buys the cars, the math in her head. Man, the last time we got a car, we got such a good deal because we were sitting there and I thought I was going to be doing the talking at the dealership and she took over and the guy kept looking at me. I'm like, don't look at me. Look at her. She's the one, and she like killed it. So we got a good deal on that car. She
That's
does
all.
that stuff and I'm like, what do you need me to make you? I'll make the garden. I'll make the
There you
chicken
go.
coop. Um, yeah, lots more of that. But there was something I was thinking of. It's going to come back to me uh, in regards to things that have adjusted over time. Things
The
on iteration
iteration.
2 or iteration 3.
Since you
Uh,
guys have come together, right? Like there's
yes.
definitely iterations. And like you said, I think certain things, be it like routines or habits, start to rub off on your partner. And then likewise, vice versa, um,
Yes.
over
Yes, it's
time.
coming to me now. It's
There you
coming
go.
to me now. The thing about me was I always wanted to be out and about and going and doing. I had the FOMO. I wanted to just be in everything everywhere. But over time, iteration 7.0 of Travis or whatever, Deb has really made me a bit of a homebody in a good way. In a good
Mhm.
way. I feel like some people may be like, "Whoa, he's." I'm
No,
not saying
I
like domesticated. I'm talking about like I mean like I love our space. And the
yes.
thing that I love about home, and something that I appreciate about our relationship, is that in that constant communication, in that trust, in that teamwork that you were talking about,
Mhm,
we have established this like home base
mhm,
that is untouchable from the
mhm.
outside, right? Like
You have to, you
I
have
was
to.
listening, yeah, I was listening to a friend of mine a while back, and he was talking about um basically finding value in his vocation, like in
Mhm,
his work, like to that there were lots of pros and cons, but like some of the pros were like you know doing something with your hands, or finding like purpose in the thing that you're doing that you do well, like the
mhm,
skill and the passion combine. But then also he's like, and it also like gets me out of the house for a while, so I leave like the conflict of home and then come back. And that kind of, all of a sudden, it was sparking in my head. I was like, I I I don't want that for anybody, I
but
mean, and I'm not dogging on my friend at all. What I'm saying is like, I want everybody to be able to say like, hey, I can come home, and that is my safe place,
yes, yeah,
and
yeah.
but there's, of course, there's a lot of work. I'm thinking of all the people out there who might not have that right now, and they're thinking like, oh yeah, okay, it's not all rainbows and sunshine everywhere,
But it
Travis,
can be. But if
but
it's
it
one
can
of the
be.
things you want and you work on it openly with your partner, I think it definitely can. And like you said, me being a couple seasons ahead of you, like we have that at home. And a lot of people are like, you don't want to go. No, I'm a homebody. It's not that we're domesticated. It is we've created such a fun and joyous space. Why wouldn't I be here? And we get this all the time from friends and colleagues are like, oh, I need to take like a girls' weekend, or we need a guy's weekend or stuff like that. Whereas like I just need to grab coffee with Travis for an hour and I'm good. Like I don't need to be away from my family. I enjoy the space with my family. Now, is
Hmm.
it chaotic? Of course, right? Depending on the
Yeah.
season of life you are. But you know what? It's my chaos. It's what I yearn for. Like I look forward to picking up my kids from school because I miss them. Do I
Yeah.
like working uninterrupted? Yes, right? Who doesn't? But at the same time, it's not the space I'm trying to escape from. And if it is, then we should start to look at the why behind that. Is it because you're not being seen or heard or respected? Is it because you're overwhelmed? Or we talk about this, is it because your pillars or your tanks aren't being filled? Then that's
Hmm.
other stuff that would make the home no longer a safe space, right? Like I know before I used to recluse at work because work is something I could control, right? I knew what success looked like, right? Do this many sales, success. Whereas at home, being a parent for the first time or multiple times, you're like, am I doing good? I don't know. And as a partner, even if you've been together for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that question still comes up. It's like, okay, I don't want to settle. Like I want to keep growing together. So like, what else can we do kind of a thing? And I think if you have that mindset, that's where you cultivate that safe space at home.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the other thing that I take for granted, I think that maybe it's like completely foreign to some people out there, but before we got married, we did premarital counseling. Like that wasn't even a question. It was just like,
Mhm.
let's do this, because then you're sitting together and you're talking about all the things that you might not be thinking of,
But
before.
potentially could come up. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Like we got to dig through the real, you know, junky stuff
got to go
to
through each
make
other's
sure.
closets.
Let's do the work now.
Exactly.
When it's easier.
Yeah. Especially with all
But
that
then
energy, right? Like the new energy, like, hey, this is the time to do it. Right.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So man, I am such a strong proponent of that, just to like kind of just be able to see what's ahead of you. But then
Mhm.
on top of that, what's cool is I was talking with some friends a little while ago, and it has. I think this is a good thing. Now it's becoming a lot more standard practice for people to go to counseling or to see, a therapist
Mhm.
for some of the things that they're trying to work on. Some people you don't need it. I'm not saying you have to have it, but also by all means, you should do that. If you're starting to get to this point where you're like, button heads, or you're trying to figure out where to go next, or it could
I'm all
be
for it.
something small or it could be something really big, but just to proactively get to that and do that work and the communication
Mhm.
um, is so helpful.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
I think that's what it is I think a lot of times, right, the difference between like perception and perspective when it comes to like partnership is like we all grew up with our own environment. And I'm a big believer that environment does influence behavior, right?
yeah, oh
Wants,
yeah,
needs, desires. And so, but that's the pair of glasses I wear throughout my life is the glasses that were given to me. And I use this analogy a lot as far as like operating systems or seeds, planting seeds, but perspective and perception is the perception is what I grew up with, like my environment, the what I saw, rules of engagement, male, female, family, stuff kind of stuff.
yep, yep, yep.
And my partner has her perception, right? So I think one of the big things that counseling did for us and personal development did for us prior to marriage was it gave us perspective, each other's perspective, which helped with giving each other grace, right? Knowing
Yeah.
that, and it's one of the things I used to say back in the CrossFit days, and I still use the analogy now, and it's really helped me as far as, and we could talk about stress management another time, but like everyone jokes who's ever worked with me, we worked together back in the day. It's like, Rob's got a lot of patience. I always say like patience is my biggest muscle, right?
Oh yeah.
And I
Oh
think
yeah.
and I think the one of the reasons is the foundation that I built my kind of principles around patience is I can't get frustrated at another individual, be it my spouse, my child, a client, the guy who just cut me off in 405, if we don't have the same toolbox. If we're not working with the same tools, it is not my space to be frustrated with, right? Like woodworking. If you have all the stellar tools and I've got a Swiss Army knife, you can't be mad that my turning doesn't look like yours, right? And
Yeah.
so that's the framework, that's the perspective I take in a lot of stuff growing up with my spouse, dealing with a lot of stuff. It's like I'm all about learning, where did you come from? What are the tools you're working with? And then what are the tools that I'm working with? And what are the tools we need to build together in order to be on the same page? Now, if we're both working with the same tools and something falls short, that's just iteration, right? That's just us just working out where it fell short. But I think a lot of times, growing up with Mo and doing a lot of personal development with Mo and in counseling, we realized that, hey, we have different tools. We were just born and raised with different tools, and that's totally fine because it got us to where we are today. But it may not be the only toolbox to get us to where we want to go in the future. So then what are the tools that we need to develop? Communication, right? Personal development, filling those tanks, like what fills you to be a better person. Like those are the things that we discovered. And again, they're iteration. There's no final iteration, right? It's just they're just more and more different versions of yourself.
Yep. Yep. Ongoing.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, what other questions you got? Yeah, do we have anything else in regards to
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think I find that because we're so similar, like me too, like Mo and I, we have opposites. A lot of how we approach things are different. I wouldn't say opposites, just different angles, right? If you look at a pie, like just different angles of the pie chart, so to speak. And I think it allows us to bring more to our parenting, right? More to our projects at home, stuff like that, is the fact that there's different angles to stuff. And that's what I think makes the like wow moments in my life is where like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of that, right? Or I wouldn't have parented like that, or I didn't think about that perspective. So I'm so thankful that we have different perspectives, not opposites, right? We're not necessarily
yeah.
opposites, but we just
Yeah.
approach things differently. And I think for the kids, I think they're more fruitful knowing that we parent differently, that our perspective, our angle on certain topics is slightly different. Now, foundationally, right is right, wrong is wrong. We're always like, don't ask mom; she's going to tell you the same thing I said. Don't ask dad, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how we approach like meltdowns or how we approach like hurt hearts, how we approach stuff like that, just different because of how we were raised, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think having that, but like you said from the get go, it's work, but it's work that we're choosing to do as far as our relationship, our communication, our partnership. I'd rather at the end of like when I was young and I was like when we first started, like 18, 19, started dating, like I always remember like the grass is always greener on the other side. What would life be like? So like all those conversations as a young adult you have, especially
Yeah.
because you're working with young adults too. It's like one of those things I always tell young adults who are like newly married. It's like at the end of the day, you have to choose us over me. And you need to know that the us is always going to be better than the me. Because you know what the me was. You had that for 18, 19, 23 years, whatever years.
Yep.
The us will always be a compound of that, right? It's kind of like the two brains are better than one scenario, but it's going to be work. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy, but it will be fruitful, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. 100. That was gold. I just want to sit in that,
Just let it stew. But
just stewing.
I don't know. I
But
think.
hey,
Go
you know what I
ahead.
thought of?
What?
I thought of something. Is so what would you say?
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of a tool
Ooh, I like
that
this part
maybe
of the
Mo
show.
brought into as a dad? So put on
Okay,
your dad hat
gotcha.
for fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
What is a tool or something that Mo brought into your guys' family that you really appreciate that has helped you along the road of raising three girls?
Her empathy is like out of this world. Her ability to already know what the girls are feeling before they like verbalize it, because I'm very much logical front of mind, and she's very much hard on the shoulder. And I think that's where our perspective on how we parent slightly differs. But it has built. Let me backtrack for a second. I said I have a lot of patience, but patience can look differently for different people, right? Whereas empathy is, I think, understanding heartfelt wise what another individual is going through, either because I've gone through it myself or I have a heart forward approach to this relationship communication. So that it really helped me as a parent not go from frontal lobe, like just screw on the cap. Like you got a problem, fix the problem, right? Because that's what dads do. We fix problems. We're really good at fixing problems, but not so equipped. You like that toolbox? Not so equipped in the beginning of sitting in it, because not all problems need solutions from dad,
Yep.
right? And so that has really changed my perspective over the years with Mo and helped me as far as addressing certain things with the girls where it's like, hey, do you want me just to sit here? Or do you want me to be kind of like coach dad, like we talked about before? Like, do you want me to give you some options? And so now they have the freedom of, no, I just want you to hold me. That's it. I don't want you to fix it. Nothing's wrong. I just need to go through the motions. Got it. And I can do that now. Whereas before it was super uncomfortable because I was like, can I just fix it and we move on, right? If I fix it, you'll stop crying. You won't be, your heart won't hurt anymore and we can keep going. But a
Yeah.
lot of the lessons of maturity about walking through hard things because of the fruits that come from that, I'm better equipped now of holding their hands through that versus just like, I'll slay the dragon. Let me take care of the situation. But what
Yeah.
happens is then they grow up with their perception of someone else is going to save me, someone else is going to take care of that. Whereas we're really trying to raise our girls being like, hey, yeah, this sucks. This sucks really bad, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go through this suck with you. And
Mm.
when you get through it, it'll suck less the next time because this won't be the only time. Right. And so that's what one of the things as far as being a dad that I've really learned from her is that ability to be like, hey, not all things are on fire. Right. Don't need to put out all the things. So, how about yourself? What's one thing or one tool or one perspective that you've learned since becoming a dad, knowing that you got Deb in the corner, the ring for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that was so good what you just had to share there. Thank you for sharing
Right?
that. I would say, man, sometimes it feels like I'm, beating a dead horse with the amount of times I mention this, but um the the just the amount as far as a tool goes, the amount of intentionality like
Mm,
an or organized intentionality that Deb brings to our family is gold. So um whether that's like talking about like their schedule as their babies and how they're sleeping and when they're eating and taking care of them in that way, or it's um how are we going to discipline, or how do we iterate
mhm,
some of those like things that we're seeing in as they grow, those pain points where
mhm,
they're not behaving or whatever the case may be. um she's so good at revisiting that and being intentional with what we can do about that. So I
mm.
guess really it comes down to her organization is a huge for us. I don't even want to know what it
What
would
life
be
would be
like
like.
without that, because without her, because it would be just chaos. So she's the one who has brought in all of the consistency and rhythm into our
Mm,
family. And now I can say, after being a full-time dad for the last over 2 years now, um, I'm just gleaning like the
you're reaping the
the
rewards.
I am reaping the rewards of her consistency and organization, because I just operate based off of her. So,
Mhm,
and I know that is a fact, because let me bring you some evidence that supports this. When I am in the zone as full time dad, Deb's at work, and I am with the kids, I am. It's a well-oiled machine now,
mhm.
right? We have our tough days, of course. It's not
Yeah.
like everything's perfect, but what I'm saying is I know exactly what I need to do in each moment, and I know how to pivot, and I know
Mm,
all of those things, right? I can go to Trader Joe's with my list, and I
nice.
can go bam, 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 and like kids not doing too well, boom, snack, there you go. Like, hey, we got to get across the street, and this is you're holding their hand, and it's just like all second nature now. Whereas if you are not normally doing that and you have to go to the store for the first time, like,
I was
oh
just gonna
boy.
say that, like, you and I know that. Not only that, as dads, we can tell the first time dad at Trader Joe's, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Sweat.
they sweat, or they're like bicep curling the car seat because they don't put it in the cart just yet,
Yep.
right? And they're trying to like, well, which one do I put down? So, the fact that you said that, that's all that reminded me. Like, no, we all walked that walk. We know what that feels like. But now, like
Yep.
you said, man, and I've seen it. I've seen you, well-oiled machine. And the great thing about like Deb creating that foundation of organizations is, like, I think our lives do better with routine, right? I've seen it in our
Yes.
kids,
Yes.
right? Knowing like, hey, homework time, snack time, dinner, and you build life around that routine. But having those solid pillars, I think, lowers the amount of our kids' stress and our stress, right? Because, hey, we all
Yep.
know this is lunch hour. This is what we're gonna do.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and it makes it so much easier to teach based off of those things,
Yeah.
Like I love somebody talked about, I don't want to go too far off on a rabbit trail, but somebody talked about, um introducing like the clock as the like the rule maker,
Mhm.
because you can't get mad at an inanimate object, So it's not like, hey, I go to bed because I said so. It's like it says it's 7 o'clock. That's bedtime. It's time to
Mhm.
go, those types of things.
Love it.
But what I was going to say though, to finish that thought off, was I know how all of this works because Deb has, built that into us. And so I learned and I'm getting better at that. But you put me with our kids on vacation, like in a rental with like multiple other family members or friends,
Mhm.
and put me in charge. And I'm honestly, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. I don't know what to do, because no longer am I in my home. I'm not at home base.
You're not in
I'm
your
not in my
safety area.
familiar territory.
Exactly. Yep.
And like I'm not surrounded by the organizational foundation that this woman has built around us. All right.
Yeah.
So she gets all the credit for that. But then also I just like, if I
We
think I
need to
asked myself that question. Like, I thought I had this down, but no, no. When we are out of our element, I have no idea what to do. I'm
future
lost.
episode traveling. future episode.
Traveling. Write
Travel,
it down.
right?
I'm
Write it
writing it down
down
right
because
now.
I was going to talk about it, but yeah, like I think our little pod over the years, because we've had a close group of friends probably for 20 plus years now, and it's crazy the early trips versus how they are now. Like we've got it down to a science. Like literally, we will travel international with 4 families this summer. Like that's how down to
Woo!
an art we have it. Um, but
Shoot.
yes, if it was just up to the dads to organize this stuff, we'd be like, we found a place with a pool, done. Like that's what else
Yeah.
do you
Oh
need?
no.
What else do
I
you need?
l- I love it when you have. I mean, because I feel like again, it's rubbing off on me now. So I feel like I'm better. I'm a better dad. I'm a better professional. I'm a better a
Oh yeah.
lot of things because of her organization. It's fun to sometimes sit back and watch a bunch of dads like create like or like think of like a thing
It's
because
brand new.
it doesn't matter when we're all together. We're gonna have fun either way.
Yeah.
But the fact that like the last like March Madness thing I went to, we all showed up and the only rule was bring a snack, and there were 12 bags of Doritos and
I
like
was gonna say.
3 things like that was it. It's like, okay, coordination, guys. Let's communicate a little bit because we could eat better than this. We
Yeah.
could.
We definitely need to talk about this. I mean, we can go down the rabbit hole, but yeah, like Excel
Yeah.
sheets and everything. But I wanted to bring today's talk to a conclusion because I think
Yes.
I think we talked to a lot of good stuff about how although it is called dads in real life, it's just our perspective about topics that I think anyone could benefit from, especially if you are a parent, because that's the season of life that we're in. And again, if you are a parent and you want to recommend this to your husband, great. If your husband's listening to this and you want to get some insight on him, great. You should be listening to this as well. And then, some of the stuff that we talked about as far as relationship and communication early on too, right? Pre-wedding, wedding, I think are golden nuggets for anyone who are about to enter that season, right? Like let's say like you are engaged or you're married and you're about to have your first kid. These are kind of the topics and things that you want to have a discussion around because it just having kids brings in layers, right? Not necessarily difficulty, but just more layers of things that you need to be aware of. That's all.
Yes. And by all means, give yourself grace when you are in that season as you enter
Buckets
it.
and buckets of grace, like an
Yep.
ice bath full of grace.
Oh
That's
boy.
yeah.
Yes. So hey, you guys remember we're just dads. We're not experts.
We're not gurus. We're just
We're
two
just
dads
dads in
in real
real
life.
life.
That was good. That was close. I like that.
We got there. We're getting there. I have to space it out just a hair more. I'm
just
not waiting long enough.
just delay a little bit.
I'm too excited.